Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2. Let me know if you can hear me. We'll run that back. Hope all is well. Let me get some bells. Let me get something. Let me know. Let me know. Okay, I see a yes. Thank you, Love Warrior. Okay. Well, you know I like to do things by way of protocol, you know. So, yeah, we're going to get into all of that. Yeah, let's get into it.
God is dawn. Like and subscribe. Comment some night. Loving this light. Here's God is dawn. God is dawn. God is dawn.
I don't think y'all heard that. Oh, shoot. Okay, I see the problem. Hold on. Hold, please. I think we're still in Mercury retrograde, but I'm not going to give that any energy. Let me make sure this Bluetooth is off. Okay. Check and check. All right, let me run this. Let me run my greeting again.
God is dawn. Like and subscribe. Comment some night. Loving this light. Here's God is dawn. God is dawn. God is dawn. God is dawn. Like and subscribe. Comment some night.
There we go.
God is dawn. God is dawn.
God is down. God is down. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. We got this. We got this. So yeah, peace world. Welcome. Oh wait, I need my. We gotta have all the hoopla. Oh, okay. Had the Bluetooth in my ear. All right. Yeah, we need all the hoopla and all the applause. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Peace world, welcome or welcome back. I am God is Dawn, and I'm coming to you live from LA, baby. Yeah. It's just past 7 p.m. on the West Coast. Actually, 7:16 to be exact. Happy to be here. Actually, blessed is probably a better word. Yeah, hashtag blessed. I see y'all in the chat. All right. Thank you for being here. Wow, Wayne. Yeah, Trust Truth Seeker 59. How could I get that wrong? Thank you for all the info you've been sending me, child. I'm trying to still wrap my mind around some of it, but we will get into that stuff on Saturday. Tonight is our Kelly night. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Love Warrior, I see you, and thank you for being here as always. I see you, Tony, the critical thinker. Tony is a critical thinker. She wants you to know. And Miss Della, yeah, I see you. Chrissy Power, welcome back. All right, we have a R. Kelly supporter in the building. Sandra, welcome. I don't know if this is the channel or the platform you want to be at, but you're very much welcome to be here as long as you're respectful. And Beautiful Spirit made it. Shout out to you. Yeah. So, listen, we're talking R. Kelly tonight. I'm getting into the facts and then I'm out because I got another obligation. But listen, it's all good. And, you know, let's get into it. So when we last left off, actually, let me throw the link into, so I know a couple people have some things to say. All right. I would pin the link, but I am in StreamYard and not in YouTube, and I don't want to be switching over right now. So just, you know, the chat ain't really moving. So the link is right there. Feel free. So R. Kelly, man, a lot going on as we approach trial. It's still technically slated for August 9th, which is literally a month away. And since he's been transported to New York, which was just, 3 weeks ago, I think, there's been filings and motions and this and that. Miss Della, welcome. All right. Feel free to jump in whenever you feel it. All right. And Love Warrior, yes. Yo, welcome.
Yo, hey, got it.
Yo.
That's Miss Della or Beautiful Spirit with us.
Miss Della.
Oh, hi, Miss Della.
Hello, Priscilla.
How are ya?
Oh, I don't get a greeting. Oh, okay.
Of course you do. I said,
I mean,
how are you? Oh, God.
I'm being
Miss
attacked
Della, I'm sorry.
already. I ain't even been on here 2 minutes. Hello,
Go
God.
get it right, baby. Get it right.
I threw bells.
All right.
All right.
We are here. We are talking R. Kelly. This is why I came to YouTube. Listen, we are here. This is the dawning here of the trial. We are down to the nitty gritty, but we got people trying to stop the flow. So let's get into what's been going on the back end of things as far as the court goes. So last time we were here, what was that, Saturday?
Yeah.
We, I believe, talked about the motion. Everybody, I'm sure if you're following this case, especially on YouTube, you are aware that a bond motion, emergency temporary release bond motion, was filed by R. Kelly's defense attorneys, Thomas Farinella and Michelle Blank Becker. And despite the fact that some people are out here saying that bond request has been denied, as well as the adjournment that was requested, that hasn't yet come down as far as the judgment goes. So I don't know if people misread the government response and took that as a no. Maybe it was that well written and that strong in language. I don't know. But I think people may have gotten confused. So just to FYI, that bond motion is still floating around because the judgment hasn't come down officially on that yet. So I'm looking at Pacer, and the bond motion came in from, like I said, Farinella and Becker. Technically, it says Farinella here, but that was on the 1st. So following that, we had the proposed jury instructions and the verdict form come in on the 2nd, and we talked briefly on that, and we'll get deeper into that, but not tonight. That's a lot. That jury stuff, it's a lot, and we're going to get into that probably Saturday. But Okay, so on July 3rd, Michael Leonard, who is technically still a defense attorney for R. Kelly, because though he and Greenberg have submitted their withdrawal requests to the court, as well as the fact that R. Kelly supposedly fired them before they submitted the paperwork. They're still active attorneys on the case as far as the court is concerned. Now, Leonard filed a response to the motion, and it's sealed. And that was on the 3rd, following the actual motion on the 1st. And the first thing I thought when I saw this is that, oh, he's trying to clear his name. Because if you guys recall, if you're following this, the motion had language in it which threw Greenberg and Mike Leonard under the bus with regard to neglecting the client, R. Kelly, and his needs and, proper protocols and things of that nature, basically calling them ineffective. So I would love to see this sealed document. I could just imagine what this sealed document might say. Any thoughts on that? Jump in whenever. Just jump in whenever you have a thought.
Did Greenberg file a motion under seal too?
I believe the motion, this letter might include Greenberg.
Okay.
Just like the other one included Becker, it didn't show her name on the actual docket here.
Because the defense referenced Greenberg's motion in their request for the bond. But, I thought that Greenberg probably would reference, because this has been going on for some months, R. Kelly's refusal to meet with him. And that is going to be a huge win or positive, and if we put check marks right in the column for Greenberg, because he has had representation from the beginning, but his refusal to meet with Greenberg. So regardless that Farnella and Tricky Nikki laid out, they're having all this difficulty, which the feds in their response pretty much countered. I thought maybe Greenberg probably would cover the months of R. Kelly refusing to meet with him.
Well, again, it's a sealed document, so we don't know what he said, but I'm assuming.
I'm just guessing. Yeah, I'm just guessing.
No. Yeah. I'm just bouncing off you. So I'm just assuming that it's not a good look for R. Kelly, because technically, again, they're still representing him. And, it's not a good look to drag your client in the public when he's facing especially such charges and whatnot, and in the public eye too, of course.
Exactly.
So, okay, so we had that letter, right? And at some point, I'm thinking this might get unsealed. I hope so. I'm gonna keep my eye on it because I'm curious to know what is in this letter and why did you steal it? Why did you steal it? We want to know. Okay, so then on the 5th of July, it's been a busy week, despite the fact that it was a holiday weekend. R. Kelly's new attorney, Devereaux Kennick, and I was really surprised to see Mr. Devereaux. I just looked him up. He actually requested a status report, and then Ann Donnelly scheduled a status hearing, and that hearing is set for July 8th at 2 p.m. in the courtroom. Remember, she said she wanted him in New York and to be present in person at the future hearings. So we got a hearing for tomorrow at 2 p.m. And this isn't the Curcio. It doesn't say it's Curcio, which the Curcio hearing is specifically for a conflict of interest to settle these matters or to hear them out and get them on the table. So this just says status conference. And this is again, from the new lawyer. So let me pull him up real quick.
While you're pulling him up, I just wanted to mention that I thought it was very interesting that he did not file a motion. He actually just wrote a letter to Judge Ann. So obviously there's some intent there, because that was definitely intentional. So why not filing a motion to, state the obvious obstacles that he's referencing? Because remember, he agreed that, there would not be a delay, and Farinell and all of them agreed that there would not be a delay, even though, there's this huge amount of evidence. So
I didn't even mention the letter yet, but I had read somewhere else that there was an adjournment requested also. Adjournment of the whole case. But I'm looking at the letter to the judge, and it's short. I'm just trying to see. Okay, I also have the government. So let me just finish real quick. So again, 7-5 status report was requested. Ann Donnelly scheduled this hearing. The government responded to the bond motion request also on the 6th. So I'm looking for where this letter was filed, because I have the letter, but okay. Well, so this is him. I didn't know he was Black. I really didn't. Not that it, I guess matters. But it says here he's an experienced New York attorney. He's a principal member of the firm and a trial attorney. His practice includes federal and state criminal defense, criminal law, as well as civil litigation. He reminds me of somebody I know. Mr. Canick. Let me just read a little bit. I want to know what's going on with this man. Mr. Canick is licensed to practice in all court in the state of New York. He is admitted to the federal district courts for the Eastern, Southern, Northern, and Western districts of New York, United States Court of Appeals for the Second and Fourth Circuits, and the United States Supreme Court. Mr. Canick was formerly with the Bronx County District Attorney Office, where for several years he managed a full range of criminal matters from misdemeanors to major felonies. Mr. Canick has had departmental responsibility for managing a group of assistant district attorneys assigned to homicide duty, and was lead counsel on a number of high-profile criminal cases, one of which led him to being profiled in the New York Legal Journal. Okay, great. Well, this goes all the way back to the 90s. What I didn't see up front and in my face was anything about sexual defense against sexual crimes, sex crimes. But, whatever. So what do y'all think of this guy? Any thoughts?
I know he lost his last case before the Fed. I can't remember the name.
And there was a lot of years too. I think the guy got whatever it was. I remember reading, I think on Twitter.
And again, my question is puzzling me. Why did he write a letter versus a motion? Is it because, what is the intent there?
What motion would you want him to have filed in this case?
I would have wanted him, that letter, which should have been as a motion. Why is he writing a letter?
What would be your motion is what I'm asking. Because, a motion has
I didn't hear what you said, guys.
What is the motion that you're wanting to see from him? What is the motion? You're saying
I want that letter to be the letter he wrote.
Okay, so let me clarify. So,
okay.
The bond motion was a request for immediate release, for temporary immediate release before trial, pre-trial. So for this motion that you want from him, what do you want it to say? What would be the title?
I want the letter that he wrote.
I understand. I understand the letter. Okay, let's give me some language. What do you want your motion from this guy to say out of the letter? Like I said, motions typically have a subtitle. What is your subtitle to this motion that you want to see from this man?
He's asking for additional time.
Okay, so
whatever he wrote in that letter.
So you're saying you want an official delay requested, an official adjournment, which he does request in this letter. Let's read the letter real quick. It's short. It says, "Dear Judge Donnelly, we write to request a delay in the commencement of Robert Kelly's trial. He says, while he is anxious to move forward and address the charges against him, it is my considered view that given my limited access to him, as well as circumstances of his detention, I simply do not have enough time to adequately meet with him and also digest the massive discovery. So as you mentioned previous to this, he agreed that he understood the massive discovery and the fact that this thing has been going on. He's been in pretrial detention for 2 years at this point, just about. But now here he is backtracking.
And that he would not ask for delay, as Judge Ann specifically, it's in their transcripts, I'm sure, that she was not going, because this legal wrangling, even though R. Kelly's, entitled, everybody's yelling the Sixth Amendment, he has not been denied any counsel. Him switching or adding lawyers to Judge Ann is like, whatever, we'll do the cursio, we appointed this other judge, but that's not going to change this train. We are going to court. And in fact, the prosecutors in their response used her words basically back in that motion, as one of the.
I haven't gotten there yet, sweetie, but let me just finish this a paragraph and about a half. So the letter continued. We were retained to join Mr. Kelly's defense team on 6/21/2021, and that was only a few weeks ago. And it's, why are you joining the case? That's what I want to know. In this, if you're gonna write a letter, tell me why you decided to join this late in the game. If you see all this massive discovery, what is it behind? What is this for you? I want to know. On 6/21/2021, Mr. Kelly was transferred from Chicago to MDC Brooklyn. Okay, so that was just the same day. So the same day he got moved to Brooklyn was the same day they retained this guy. So they waited to retain this guy to the last minute, like they've been doing a lot of things. You can't blame Greenberg and Leonard when you have a whole team of 5 or more attorneys on the payroll or on the team. We'll say you can't. Everyone's responsible. It says he was immediately placed in quarantine to adequately prepare to confront R. Kelly's accusers. I must have access to Mr. Kelly. Given his quarantine status, it has not been possible for us to meet. Robert will be in quarantine for 14 days from the date of his arrival at MDC Brooklyn. Moreover, when he is out of quarantine, MDC has very limited conference rooms for us to meet. Now, remember this, because the government's response addresses this letter also, as well as the bond request. The nature of the evidence here does not lend itself to open, frank discussions in such an environment. So it's some heavy shit. We already know that, but this just confirms. Before agreeing to joining Mr. Kelly's defense team, I was aware of the trial date. Okay. Although I thought that, okay, he has a grammar problem here, a typo. Although I thought that it would take a Herculean effort to get up to speed, I thought it would be possible to do so. However, with Mr. Kelly not being available and limited access that would be available to effectively meet with him, we would not have enough time to have meaningful preparation for an August 9 trial date. Okay. Now, what I'm seeing here coming to my mind is when I'm saying, well, I knew about the date and, I thought it would take a Herculean effort to get up to speed, but what he's basically saying is impossible. I thought it would be tough, but it's actually impossible. So what that says to me is that you can't take the job. You're not equipped and you can't handle it. So you can't take the job. Like, no, you can't accept the job. You can't ask the client. That's like, we can go to corporate America. You join a team, you're newly hired, you come onto a team, they've been working on a project with this high profile client for 2 years. And they have a presentation due date. This presentation is due in 4 weeks. But you join the team, you know what everything that's laid out here, you know everything that's happening, and you decide, I'm gonna take this job because I got this. But then you go, well, wait a minute. It's too much. I can't catch up in 4 weeks. This is impossible. So you want them to ask their high profile client who is itching to get this thing going and over with to delay for you because you decided you could come on board this late in the game, fourth quarter, and take it on. You thought you were Hercules, but you can't handle the job. So you got the whole team. They've been working for 2 years, and you know, some of them and some less, but still they've been working together on this thing. Everybody got to put the brakes on it because you need to catch up. It sounds like you are the problem. So anybody else? Any thoughts before I move on? There's 2 more little bitty paragraphs before I end this, and we'll get to the government's response.
Well, anyway, I think that his intention all along was to do this, was to come on, act, you know, say he can do it. And of course he was going to say that it's too much. I actually think that was part of the plan.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, I knew, I was waiting on this. I didn't know if it was going to come in a form of a motion or a letter or what, but I knew that this delay was going to come because of the fact that they are bringing on a new attorney.
I agree.
So this is just fulfilling something that I already knew was coming. Let me just finish this up. It says the charges here are serious. The consequences are dire. Mr. Kelly not only has a right to an attorney of his choosing, but also has the right to effective and meaningful representation. The aforementioned circumstances deny him those rights. And there we have it. So not only is he coming in saying, oh man, this is a lot, way more than I thought I could, you know, I thought I could do this. He's also saying Mr. Kelly, the client, is not being represented effectively and meaningfully, which is illegal. You know, that you have to have effective counsel. So they're setting it up basically to throw the other lawyers under the bus because this thing is still happening as far as the Curcio, if it indeed does take place. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this hearing coming up, she'll deal with it then. I don't know. But just to finish this, therefore, we respectfully request an adjournment of the trial date so that he can adequately prepare for his assist in his defense. Okay. My request is not by any means dilatory tactic. It's not a tactic. As I mentioned previously, Robert is anxious. Robert, he says. Didn't Judge Ann correct them from calling him by his first name in the hearing? Beautiful Spirit, you not coming in? Hello.
Who you talking to, Goddess?
Well,
oh my goodness, my mic was off. I didn't.
What do you mean? Who am I talking to? I don't know.
I was going to say him saying the name Robert in that letter, you know, and he is an experienced federal lawyer. Is so unprofessional. Not to mention, like you said, Judge Ann already reprimanded Tricky Nikki about calling him Robert. But to put that in a typed letter,
right,
to file with the court, oh my God, what in the world?
You know, we're just painting a picture, right? Therefore, this thing ends saying, therefore, we respectfully request an adjournment of the trial date. Or did I read that? It all sounds all the same. Basically, your letter sucks. Like, this whole thing is what have we been saying it is? It ain't changed. It's still this. It really is. Like, this thing.
So
the other attorney,
I agree, Mary Blue, about how the attorney looks like Portia's fiance, Simon. I thought that.
So again, I agree with you both. I think it's just a tactic. They do anything to get out of jail.
How you doing?
Hey.
Hello.
I didn't text you. I was backstage for a while.
Oh, you were, huh? I saw that, but then I thought you were on here for something. I thought I had clicked you in already.
No, ma'am. I had time to figure out how to change the picture and everything.
Oh, my bad. Oh, well, good.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Kim.
I know you got some feedback for us.
Oh man. You know, he already has 5 attorneys, right? Is that correct?
At least.
right?
At least 5. Okay. I think it's
Five
just
plus
another
the one
tactic.
that one that the Judge Ann appointed to make sure he had due process. So that would be 6, right? Because it's the 5 on his team plus that one.
Well, my opinion, I think they're all on one accord when it comes to this 2008 trial tactic strategy move. They all on one accord with that. For them to keep being unprofessional as far as like how they address the courts and the judges, which calling their client by his first name, like, they're at home in the privacy of their home at the dinner table, as well as filing these unprofessional letters, motions, and love notes and stuff. I think that Brooklyn is not playing no games. They're going to keep forward. They're not going to be changing no trial date. And it's just going to be up to his defense team to get it together and get on board. They're either going to be there or they're not.
Basically.
R. Kelly still thinks that, I agree with you, beautiful spirit, referencing the 2008 and how he was able to delay his trial for 6 years. R. Kelly still thinks he is R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? His team is, as Kwame would say, the go along, get along gang, right? He's like,
well,
fly. I believe I can fly, R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Like he still thinks he has this mega celebrity power and that he can, pull these little strings, demand this, demand that, and it's gonna fly. But it's not that no more. It's not that.
But see, the reason why he think he can pull strings is he think those people is backing him to a certain degree. It's to a certain chain of command. When you get past a certain chain of command, they don't have his back no more like they did back in 08. Meaning that the go along, get along gang of people are not going to cover and sweep things under the rug no more. Them days are over with. I think it have been cut ties with him, meaning that the record label's not going to cover for you no more. It's just not going to happen, and you need to let it go. Yes, you might have the same attorneys that was with those get along gangs then from Jive Records, but that don't mean Jive Records got those lawyers back anymore.
And even if he had the money, even if he had the millions of dollars,
it just wasn't him. He's not making them no money no more. They're not making money no more like they used to. So the gravy train is over. He just got to sit it out. And then it seemed like every time somebody gets released, they want to come running, busting up in there, spilling papers out of their arms and stuff, emails getting sent to the wrong attorney's office, all this other jumbo's mess. It's actually an embarrassment, and I don't even know why he keeps hanging on to any of them. I would have been let them go and got a whole new fresh team.
Well, I'm sure he probably made a lot of different decisions than he has made in the past. So let's just make sure we clear on the fact that we have our right minds. I think something wrong with that man.
Yeah, but he still thinks that he's got the team he wants, a team that does what he says.
Well, because Tricky Nikki probably over there putting him up under her spell. Like she probably got him convinced. She's the one they say been talking to him all this time consistently this whole time.
She convinced him to get rid of Greenberg. She can run it. But he's got the team he wants. And unfortunately, he can't see the forest from the trees because he thinks that he still's got that power. He ain't got the money. And even if he had the money to get top-notch attorneys, they would have been advised him not to go. They wouldn't be letting him just run shit. It'll be, they would be running shit, like in his best interest, of course. But it wouldn't be going like this. Because, the second appeal, first of all, Judge Ann ain't going to rule against the second appeal court anyway. So they just need to cut the crap.
I don't think
the last cap on that. Yeah, the last caption on that, and to sum it up, is that they're going to push forward with this due to the fact that we now know to what in depth, how deep this rabbit hole goes and how it's been going. This rabbit hole been going over 30 years. And now that they know that, it's a different ball game. And meaning that I don't think he's totally broke. It's, he got to have some money from somewhere. I don't believe they're doing this out of kindness of their heart.
Yeah,
something is still being financially taken care of somewhere, which that's his right. I would pray that he can't afford to pay for his legal team and anything else. But it'll all play out in court, and we'll just have to go from there. And like us, passionately keeping up with the case. And what people fail to realize, if they really be listening to those status call hearings that we were able, allowed, and blessed to hear, like Greenberg said out of his own mouth, he never disputed the evidence. He never denied the evidence. He even said that the other lawyers couldn't even handle looking at the evidence because they fall apart. It messes their mental up. That lets you know right there something devastating. And for Miss Cokehead to say, you got damaging evidence against my client, I need to make it go away, whether it's a message, video or not, that lets you know right there that it's something. But let everybody else tell it. It's all this false planning. It's all these moles. It's all this make believe, wondering Alice in Wonderland bullcrap. But everything is in black and white.
All them moles and all these YouTubers have only confirmed the obstruction of justice. They've only sealed.
I mean, let's not forget that baby girl car got blowed up in her house and her parents got shot at.
They have sealed his fate. That's why you not getting out on bond.
They done wired and tap and trace the number from our line calling the attorney. He let them know, look, okay, you got me. I'll tell you how I'm not lying. I got a personal number and office number. I'll tell you exactly who gave me the orders. And I'm pretty sure they made him make a call and they got that conversation signed and sealed.
A little side note, Greenberg has actually won some federal trials before. Okay. I know he lost the big trial, but he wasn't lead attorney with Drew Peterson in Chicago. But up in federal court, he has actually won. I don't know the exact statistics, but I did read that he has won some cases there. So obviously, as much as they dislike him or whatever, he probably was trying to advise, R. Kelly to go one way, which R. Kelly just refused because, again, he's stuck thinking that he can still fly. He can believe he can fly.
I could believe that because I think when he started doing the bare minimum, I think that's when he's seen that. That's, if y'all notice, a lot of the times in the press conference, Greenberg said, oh, he's a grown man. He can do what he want to do. Yeah. He said he advised him not to do the Gayle King interview. They was like, oh, where was you at? He said, I was at home with my daughter and I told him not to do it, but he's a grown man. I can't make nobody, And they were like, well, you're the attorney. Like, how do you, So I think that's when he was like, okay, I still got your back. But at this point, and then he's outnumbered with the rest of the get along gang because Becker and them was so excited to get him booted out of the way with Leonard, whatever. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that man's name. They were so excited that they had forgot they was even talking to a magistrate judge.
Well, I'm not going to jump on the the Greenberg cheerleading
campaign.
No.
And I don't like him. I dislike him
because I saw him from the beginning doing he just wasn't the right man for the job. He just wasn't.
Exactly. Not for nothing like this.
Yeah, being that I'm opposed to the guy, I'm not going to be mad at it. But at the same time, we do want a fair trial here, right? So
yeah, everybody's entitled to that if you're in a situation.
Yeah, I'm sure Greenberg, he's been doing this for a minute. Like a lot of this thing is relationships also. Like when you're practicing law in a particular area, typically you don't get to know the people, the judges, the prosecutors. And this is why he thanked the prosecutors, the federal prosecutors, because in his mind, he's probably like, I might be working with these people again at some point. And I want to have a good relationship with them. So it's just a matter of learning how to play the game, I guess you could say. I've seen some of these attorneys at work firsthand.
At least he didn't do the Doug Anton and call the judge a HOE.
Oh, shit.
Well, don't y'all remember
other story,
when he first got arrested? About he had been in jail about 6 months when there was initially talk of a plea deal. I'm sure that Greenberg tried to advise Kells to take the plea deal. And
is that fact?
He could wait it out. He thinks he could wait it out or whatever he thought. But that, like you said, Kim, because at some point Greenberg knew he was going up against Kells would not bend. So he stopped being as proactive. I do believe that,
But is that fact that he got offered a plea deal? I don't know if that's fact. Like,
they never referenced it in the records, but there definitely was talk of it.
Yeah, I know it was talk. So we don't know. Yeah.
I left this comment up
continue,
here. I don't know if y'all can see it. It says, "I'm still gonna love R. Kelly and listen to his music until I die, because he's still my R&B thug. Only God can." Sandra, I left it up here, but I want to take it down. I was waiting for y'all, but I just stand it up here no more. So let me address it. That's all good and great. You can like whoever you want, love whoever you want, and all of that. But I really want you to, I encourage you, I would say, to have a little bit of empathy for those who have been hurt by this man that you say you love. Regardless, you might want to say you don't believe every single accusation for a 30-year span, and that's fine too. But just know that just because you don't believe it does not mean that it did not happen. And it does not mean that he didn't leave a wake of girls with their dreams busted and a lot of other things also, which ended up them with what Kwame called it, the bus life, living a bus life because of this selfish, narcissistic, greedy, like I can go on and on. And yeah, I'm sure he was a cool dude to a couple people, maybe. But for the most part, he did nothing for his city. He did, even his own family. They busted right now. Like, so that's all great. And I don't know what that does for you to say this out loud and on a platform where, hundreds and even sometimes thousands of people see. I don't know what you get from that, but I hope you get what you're looking for. Hopefully you don't get what these young women got. You understand? It's important that sometimes we stretch ourselves to, hold space for people who are hurting. And maybe he's hurting too, but because you're hurting, you don't hurt people. And that's, all I'm going to say to you on that. I'm going to take your little thing down. I had to address you. All right. Sorry, y'all. So I want to move on to the government's response to the bond motion. Let me get Kanik off my screen also. I would love to have a conversation with this guy. I need a PR person to reach out for him on my behalf. I need people to call his people. Okay, how do I stop this? Okay. All right, so I think I have it on the screen. No, let me pull it up. So yeah, the government responded to the bond motion. It's all of but 4 full pages. It's really 5 pages, but I'm gonna say 4 because it's really just a little paragraph on the fifth page. It's short and to the point. What I got when I saw it is that they tired of playing with these people.
Yep.
Y'all read it, right?
Yep.
I think I did this to y'all. Yeah.
Yes, I read it.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody, if everybody has, but I'm not gonna read it verbatim because there's a lot of legalese talk and all this. But I do want to just let you know what they're addressing, and bottom line, what they finally have to say. So it's addressed to Judge Donnelly, of course. And they're writing in opposition to number 1, the defendant Robert Kelly's motion for temporary release, and 2, the defendant's motion for an adjournment of the trial. And that's a postponement, not a cancellation, just in case anybody's confused. So they say that the defendant has cited 2 bases for his motion for temporary release. Number 1 being the need to prepare for trial and the risk of becoming seriously ill should he contract COVID-19. So it was a 12-page motion and it had a whole bunch of stuff in there. But the government, basically all they got out of it is that you got 2 reasons what you're addressing, and that we're addressing here: the need that needs to prepare for trial, and the fact that he might become sick through from COVID.
He's vaccinated.
Due to lack of protocol.
Yes, he is vaccinated.
Yep. Where did they say that? Because in the motion, they made it seem as if he isn't. Did they say it
No,
somewhere?
He got
it says it in
vaccinated.
there.
All the inmates.
It
I'll
says
find the
all-
article.
That's right.
I'll find the
It says it
article
in-
because
Wait,
I've
wait, wait.
seen it on.
Wait.
It's like on
I'm
page
asking-
4.
So is it in the? Say
Yeah.
that again.
It's like on page 4 or something.
Of
It says
what?
all of them. Of the response, the prosecutors.
The government's
motion to
response
respond.
says that he's vaccinated. Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten there yet, so I haven't read it like verbatim, but okay. I want to know if it was. Where was it? Where is this at? Okay, cool.
When I first seen that he got vaccinated was a few months ago. On Twitter, I forgot which journalist said that he had received all the inmates, not just him, but just all the inmates had got the vaccination. Because I had forgot who got released, and then it was this big thing, and they was like, well, everybody got vaccinated, and he was one of them. But yeah, but I'll research again, and thank you.
No, she said it's in the response.
Oh, she said it's on page 4. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to
I think it's page 4.
Okay.
I'm going off
Okay.
my memory. I'm just going off
Okay,
memory.
no, that's
but
all I
it's-
wanted to know. I mean, it's
Yep,
it's
it's in black
And
and
it
white. We got
actually
it.
said what you said, Kim. It says that he, as well as the other inmates, were all vaccinated. That's what it said.
Well, are you looking at it?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Are you okay? You need a
Yeah,
you need a Butterfinger?
No.
Mm. All right. So number one, they're addressing the motion for temporary release, and they went all the way back to the initial bond permanent order of detention that was ordered by the Honorable Stephen Tizione, the magistrate judge in the Eastern District. And this is back in August of 2019. And they're saying, look, from the start, he got an order for permanent detention. Okay, so they go through that. And they talk about why. They say, number one, because of the nature of the charges against the defendant, which at that time spanned from 1997 to 2018, and included allegations of sexual abuse, minors, coercion of minors, and child pornography. And number two, well, there's a couple of them here, but it says number two, the defendant's history of similar allegations. So there's a pattern. Number three, the defendant's opportunity to flee given his access to financial resources. Number four, the defendant's incentive to flee given the seriousness of the charges in this district and in the Northern District of Illinois. Number five, the defendant's potential obstruction in his prior trial and the strong possibility of witness tampering if he were released. And number six, the fact that certain of the alleged crimes took place while the defendant was on bail during his previous trial. Quote, the defendant cannot be relied upon to comply with the conditions of release. And that says, that actually is dated September 30th, 2019 from a different detention hearing. So, so they're basically just pointing out the facts. This has already happened. Let's rely on the process, which we have been following. It goes on to say, beginning on March 26, 2020, the defendant moved on several occasions for bail. Each of those motions were denied and the Second Circuit affirmed the denial of the last motion on September 8th, 2020. And then they go on to describe what the Second Circuit explained, which pretty much is a repeat. I mean, it just says that, they didn't just demonstrate a compelling reason. They left it to the defense and they didn't do it. They couldn't do it. So they move on to cite applicable law, talk about the Bail Reform Act. Then they do an analysis and continue to say there is no compelling basis to grant the defendant's motion for temporary relief. And they have a footnote. It says, number one, in any event, the defendant has not posited an individual who would take custody of him should he be granted release, and the government is not aware of anyone who could fulfill this role. So who can we trust to put him in, where are we going to put him? Who's going to be with him?
Because the only person that they initially had the defense proposed, which was one of the first or second motions for bond release, was that he would go live with Jocelyn. Remember that?
I think he had initially both the girls in there. He said both of his girlfriends, I think early on. And then I think he did. I remember he did name her specifically in another one.
That's a prime example of you gonna do what I say. No attorney in their right mind, defense attorney, would tell their client to write in their motion for bond release to go live with how will you say, not a confirmed, victim, or even though it's your girlfriend now. What defense attorney would say that? That's all him saying, this is what I want. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And now one of them is gone, no longer lives. Their car was blown up. Now what?
That's right, Stella.
Damn. I know, right? That's what you get dealing with him. Get your car blown up, all kind of stuff. This goes on to say, as an initial matter, the COVID-19 pandemic does not serve as a basis for his temporary release. Indeed, the Second Circuit previously denied his release on this very ground. So we were, again, repeating ourselves. And this, to me, should piss this is things that pisses off the judge. And like, come on. They better be glad it is a jury trial, because if it was a judge decision, he would be have been sentenced already to life. Let's see, it goes on. Moreover, his argument that release is justified on account of the pandemic is even less compelling than it was when he made the same arguments that were rejected by the Second Circuit and this court. Unlike the defendant, along with many other inmates at the Brooklyn MDC, has now been fully vaccinated. Page 3, by the way. Close. But thank you for letting me know it was in here, because I sure missed it. Unlike the defendant, along with the many other inmates at the Brooklyn MDC, has now been fully vaccinated against COVID-19, significantly reducing the risks associated with COVID-19. Now, if I were the judge, after reading the motion for bond with the information they provided, they left this out conveniently. They didn't put this in there.
It's almost like an omission of
it doesn't
lying.
support their argument. Exactly. It's deceitful. It is
Judge
deceitful.
It's an omission. And it's
deceitful.
very,
He didn't have a mask on.
That has got to piss her off.
The reason he didn't have a mask on is because they're vaccinated. They're not, right. He made the point, the guy is in a cell and there's no mask. Well, they're vaccinated. So right. Isn't that the point of being vaccinated?
And to omit that, that pisses Judge Ann off to see, what I mean? Like, you didn't even say he's vaccinated, but you're saying one of the criteria is because he will be exposed to COVID. That is dirty.
So this goes on, this analysis. It says, the second paragraph, nor the defendant's current access to counsel a basis is that a basis for temporary release. So they're now addressing them saying it's more so the newer attorney, but we'll go here. It says, this is the letter they actually referenced Steve Greenberg's letter, but I think this is the letter that Leonard must have filed, that Greenberg must have been on a signee also. I'm thinking.
Yeah, the sealed letter. Yeah.
Yeah. So it says, as described in detail in the letter of Stephen Greenberg, Esquire, counsel has had ample opportunity to meet with the defendant. So Greenberg's like, oh, they lying. They have had plenty of time. And I have been meeting with him, and we all know the Tricky Nikki has been meeting with him.
And he's refused to meet with me for 4 months.
Our meetings, correct.
That's going to be a killer there.
To meet with the defendant to review the discovery provided pursuant to both Rule 16 and 18 USC. So, because remember, they said that Greenberg never gave him the discovery. They said he didn't get one piece of paper nor one disc. They sure did. So it says the Chicago MCC facilitated FaceTime calls, allowing the defendant and his attorneys to meet in 2-hour increments 3 times a week. In addition, while housed at Chicago MCC, the defendant regularly met in person with his attorneys to review discovery and prepare for trial. So somebody's lying. And I don't think it's the government. Moreover, as soon as the defendant is released from quarantine, and they say it should occur about really today, July 7th. So, hey, shout out Looks like he made it out of quarantine, y'all. I think, we don't know. The defendant will have ample access to his counsel at the Brooklyn MDC. Importantly, legal counsel at the Brooklyn MDC has confirmed that the defendant will not be subject to a further quarantine upon returning from any court proceedings, and therefore counsel will be permitted to visit him at the Brooklyn MDC. They just don't want to go to the jails. That's what it is. They want him out so they don't have to deal with it. Second, legal counsel at the Brooklyn MDC has made clear that the defendant's attorneys will be permitted to visit him on a daily basis and will also be permitted to meet with him by video/teleconference. And that is a footnote also. And the footnote says the Brooklyn MDC has advised that lawyers may visit in person between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. 7 days a week, as frequently as they desire. There is an online system for scheduling meetings to be followed up by an email to a dedicated email address for booking legal visits at the MDC. So it sounds like they have a very easy, sounds like, way to book your appointments and see your client.
Because one of the reasons the defense was saying that they had no privacy to discuss the type of evidence, right? But
yeah, then they said they had to talk in the shower through a slit in the door or something crazy.
But if they book it through this email system you just mentioned, that's a private room. If they just come, and they're allowed to come in without an appointment. If they come in without an appointment, then they're set up with tables where attorneys just meet with inmates there. So that's where there's no privacy. But as long as you book it, you can have a private room. So again, the defense was inappropriately referencing the process and the procedures. Like they made it seem like there's absolutely no private room, you know?
Well, this continues to say, if attorneys need to book more than the hour block on the online schedule, such a need can be indicated in the booking email and will be accommodated. Scheduled meetings occur in separate meeting rooms, which are booked by room number and the online schedule. In addition, walk-in visits are available from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., which visits usually occur in the common area for attorneys with last-minute matters. Finally, lawyers may also communicate with the defendant through VTC calls, video teleconference calls. See, so what's the problem? I don't understand. Let's see. What else are they saying? Yeah, they're basically like, yeah, that motion should be denied based on just these things. Then they finally here address the motion for the adjournment of trial, which was from the letter from Canick. They went back again to July 11th, the day of his arrest on 2019, and they referenced the indictment by the grand jury in the Eastern District of New York. They note here that on February 9th, 2021, the court scheduled trial to commence on August 9th. So it says after that, it says thereafter on April 19th, attorney Nicole Blank-Becker moved pro hac vice to represent the defendant in Eastern District. And on June 22nd, the new attorney Deborah Canick filed a notice of appearance to represent the defendant. It says both Ms. Becker and Mr. Canick's notices were filed well after and with full awareness of the court having scheduled the trial to commence on August 9th. And there it is. And he admitted the same thing. So, you know, there's really no argument there. I don't even understand why he wrote that letter. That shit is crazy. Here we go. The defendant is thus currently represented by 5 attorneys, although 2 of them have moved to withdraw following the defendant's apparent termination of them. See, it says apparent termination. I don't know that it was apparent. In support of, well, they knew. Greenberg said the government knew everything that was going on. You know, Greenberg was probably calling them, bitching to them, like they really give a flying, you know what. But I could see Greenberg doing that too. And they probably just entertaining them, listening to all the bullshit. I wonder if they figured too, like, is he trying to like eventually get this thing, huh?
Like sabotage?
Yeah, like do something to
I don't think so.
Not sabotage, but more so, you know, it seemed to me that he dragged his feet on a lot of things
I think it's all part of their intent, a
This is
plan. This is all intentional. Yeah.
This is me saying this though from the beginning. I'm not talking about just recently. I'm talking about his whole shebang from the beginning. I always saw him as somebody, he didn't seem proactive, and also he seemed more interested in camera time more than anything else. He just looked to me as somebody who could be almost like a hack. I mean, he probably does have some success because he's been doing this a long time. But again, that's not all based on legal, actual skill. Some of that is finesse. He's a finesser, is what he is. But I don't know. I won't say he tried to sabotage, but I think setting things up to where either he just knew it. I don't think he felt like it was actually going to happen on this soon, on August 9th. Like somebody said about the previous trial, it took 6 years. I think somewhere along the line, somebody got the idea that this thing could get dragged out a lot more. And these attorneys, attorneys such as Greenberg, who likes the camera time and attention, and him and the other one, what's his name? Anton. Those type of attorneys, the dragging out benefits them because it puts they get more time in the limelight, more time to vet new clients because people are calling them now, so yeah, I don't really know what's going on behind that curtain, but it wasn't all straightforward, I don't think, as far as his intentions. That's just me. What else are they talking about? Yeah, they went on just to talk about how the attorneys changed up and they knew exactly what was going on. So
mentioned about Judge Ann's orders, not to move the trial somewhere there too. Like they actually referenced the line numbers, I think, from the transcripts with an exact quote of her not going ahead with the trial. That trial will not be delayed.
Well, that's in the paragraph I'm reading now, actually. So they quoted Koenig. He's aware of the trial date, like we just read in his letter. And then they did mention the appearance on the June 17th, in the June 17th court hearing where Miss Becker, where blank Becker, Tricky Nikki, raised the prospect of an additional attorney. And the court made it clear that on such addition would not be a basis for adjournment of trial. And they did list the line number, and I noted that it's the Curcio hearing of June 17th. And the quote is, "I'm not sure if you're asking for an adjournment. I don't think you are, but I set this trial date some time ago, and I know Mr. Kelly wants a speedy trial. I believe I tried to set a trial date in January, so I'm not moving the trial date. And if there is another lawyer who wants to join the defense, that's entirely up to you and Mr. Kelly." So there it is. And, I find it disrespectful, to be honest. You're going to sit up here, come on this case, get your PR and your camera time and your interview time and whatnot, whatever you're doing, attention for your firm, and blatantly, first of all, come on with confidence. Like, yeah, I got this. This is a lot. It's a big challenge, but whatever. But then you come back and you write this whole sorry ass letter to the judge with all your excuses about why you can't do it. And you're the only one that's complaining because everybody else has been on board for the most part. And even Tricky Nikki, even though she didn't officially sign on until April, she's been in the loop. She's been a part of this. So this is ridiculous to me. And it does speak to me of his expertise and his character as an attorney. Like, I don't like it. I don't. It's not a good look. I have very high standards when it comes to professionals. Do your job and do it right. And this is not acceptable. It might be acceptable for Mr. Kelly, because apparently he's good with it. He's apparently signed on to this. So it goes on to say, in these cases, in these circumstances, an adjournment is particularly inappropriate, whereas here the charges against the defendant involve identified victims who also have an interest in prompt resolution. Exactly. Nobody's thinking about the victims. They're not even a thought in these people's minds. All the things they have to deal with regarding this situation anxiety, all the, leading up to this trial. I'm sure they're dealing with it. We all know how they get treated in the real world. They're, harassed and attacked and all kinds of stuff. Don't let their information get put out there that they are one of the actual victims in one of these cases, because they don't have an easy road day to day. So that's pretty much the end. The conclusion is for the, let me scroll on down. I done read it and then scroll. But yeah, for the reasons stated here within, the government's prior submissions related to the defendant's detention and history of obstruction, they want to hammer that down. Hammer that point again and again. His detention and history of obstruction, the defendant's fourth emergency bond release. So I guess all of them were an emergency temporary bond release. There's been more than 4 though, as well as his motion for adjournment of trial should be denied. And there's an acting U.S. attorney in place, Jacqueline Casulis.
I saw that I was like, whoa, they got the actual AD, the acting one, and then the assistants were under that, so they're not playing around. Like I'm sure that they are so pissed off. It's very, very disrespectful for them to come back and ask for another bond release after the second appeals, and what the judge said. That's why in my belief, I think this was intended, thinking that they could get this trial postponed. Oh, we'll get a new attorney and, then we'll file, we'll agree to it. Then we'll file that, we need more time. Like they think some of these tricks were going to actually work. And I just think it's intended. That's just my own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I believe it is a stall tactic as well. And if he was to get home, we'll be having this conversation still next year. He's still out.
That's right, Ms. Stella. Trying to push it till he thinks that it'll just go away and plea on out, time served or something. Like this man actually thinks he can still fly.
And then hold the concert.
Yeah.
He would have been better served. Listen, for all the people who think this man is so innocent, he would have been better served fighting back against his allegations as they happen, actually suing people like Jim DeRogatis, who wrote a whole book on all of the decades of abuse allegations and all the stuff. He hasn't filed one suit. I haven't seen one thing except for the Gayle King interview, which was a mistake on his behalf. So I don't understand how you can defend a man who won't defend himself. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's all I got, because I got to go. But I want to just cover all the updates. So this is all that has happened. So what we're waiting for now. So there's a hearing tomorrow. The judge, it's a status hearing, and it's because the new lawyer, Kanik, asked for a status update. So they're doing a status hearing, and I'm curious to see what happens as a result of this hearing. I don't know that it will address any of the attorney stuff, because it's not the cursio, which is for the purpose of resolving or airing out and resolving conflicts of interest. So Aisha said he can't fly no more. Yeah, he's been his little wings have been clipped for coming on 2 years now. So what day is the 19th on? A Monday. Yeah. Let's see, Monday, July 19th is the day he went in. I might have to do a messy Monday and tribute to this day. I don't want, don't be mad because I'm celebrating, but you got to understand, like I said, these victims, because this man has victims. He has victims. I could say alleged if you want. His alleged victims, they deserve more and better. Like, all you hear about is, if you do hear about victims, we shouldn't be talking about them specifically and by name and whatnot, but sometimes we have to because things have happened, right? But for the most part, when we do hear about them, they're being dragged, being called all types of names and things. And even with Bill Cosby's situation, it's a much different situation. Well, I won't say much different, but it's a different situation. But at the same time, he has women victims also. They said he had like 60 or more victims, but, because of the time frame, they weren't able to be heard. So legally. And all that to say, it's a two-way street here. There's two sides of this situation. And R. Kelly, who we continue to talk about, because he's the type of a slick motherfucker you got to keep your eye on. You got to keep your eye on R. Kelly. Because if we didn't stay on top of his stuff, I'm telling you, if they felt like nobody was going to catch stuff or like nobody was really paying attention, they probably would have tried all kind of different little things. And but they can't get away with nothing because everybody's on top of this thing. And not everybody's being honest about what's going on. I mean, I literally saw some YouTubers, one in particular, say that his requests were denied. And I'm like, what? I literally had just looked at page. So let me go back. No, there's been no update. There's been no judgments. And I think that's irresponsible. Like if you're a content creator / YouTuber, whatever you want to call yourself, and you're coming to the table about this situation or any situation really, and it's something serious, have your facts straight, because you out here misleading people, giving out miscommunication and confusing people in the situation. So I just say check yourself before you get wrecked, baby. But anything else? Because I'm out.
Okay, I just wanted to say something really, really quick about his health. Remember when he first went in, he had an infected toe. Then he had...
That reminds me, somebody had that handle, didn't they? R. Kelly's infected toe.
Yeah. Then he had the hernia operation, right?
Right.
Then he was pre-diabetic. The man has never had a diagnosis of diabetes. All of a sudden,
that's what I was asking. And they didn't even reference any of that in this. I don't think. Did they reference his health issues? I don't think they did. They probably were like, you know what? We're not even gonna get into that.
Well, she told him to exercise. When she denied it last time, she said he needs to be doing more exercising.
Right.
So that got shut down. So Miss P, you're right.
And you know what, Miss Della, I find was very, very interesting is that in the defense's motion, they tried to say that he was denied medical care. That is so untrue. What it really said, you have to kind of, I had to reread it a couple times, but he wanted an independent doctor. So what basically they want to go get a doctor.
His own doctor.
So they could pay, so they could pay the doctor to say what they want to say, right? We know the game. That's exactly what it was, because he had doctors available to him at MCC in Chicago, but he wanted an independent doctor. And that still fell on the defense because Miss Nicole Tricky Nikki that was sashaying up and down the sidewalk, up and down, sashaying, bringing in phones and letters and transporting money. She could have called and gotten an independent doctor. They probably couldn't prove where the money. See, I believe, like Beautiful Spirit said, I believe he's got some little bit of money hid because the government has frozen everything. He's got a little bit of money, but they would have to show with all those accounts being monitored and frozen where this money would come from. Because a specialist like that is not cheap, you know? But that doctor would be paid off just to say whatever they wanted him to say. So,
do you remember the last, I think it was last year sometime, I believe they found, what was it, 6 million or 4 million, and those 2 cases were trying to fight over the cases that they won. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I remember they was even talking about splitting the money, and I remember one of the lawyers said, nope, not the way my client was treated. So that's why I said money came from someplace. And there you again, God is going back to what you're saying. A victim won. You see what I'm saying? 2 cases was on. He had to pay millions out of his pocket for these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you're innocent, why are you paying?
Right.
That's what he does. That's what he's been doing. And that's what like you were saying about the doctor. That's what he's used to doing, paying people off. You know, I'm looking at this Netflix series. What is it called? Dang, how do I not remember? It's about the mob, basically. But it goes back, and the funny thing is these people, that's all they do, how they live their life is all backhanded payments, paying for this, paying for that, paying this off, paying this person. It's a way of life. And I believe R. Kelly is like that. Like he just lived, that's how he's been doing it, paying people for this, doing that. He doesn't do things by any book or like, you know,
like your ex-president. You got something that's been handed to you.
Exactly.
Something handed to you. You're right. You're used to doing something given your way. Nobody can tell you no.
Right. Exactly.
You being told
Yep.
no, and
And
then
that's
when
this
your
whole
life
thing.
goes for a change.
Yeah, about these characters. I'm gonna tell y'all next time when I'm watching. It's pretty good, but the whole thing about most of these men's mindsets is they don't want to answer to anybody. They don't want to answer to nobody, and they want to be able to just live how they want, and the money lets them do that. So
Right.
that's the mindset I think
It's provided a veil of protection around them. All that money has provided a veil of protection. Not to even mention the elite protection he had while he was bringing in, all the money to them, the record companies and everybody getting their hands greased. But see, that money he's paid out all these lawsuits trying to, maintain him still abusing young girls, and the money he's ran out. So
yeah, he's dried up. I mean, time, everything has an expiration date. R. Kelly didn't play by his own rules that he was given. I'm telling you, I've been telling y'all this.
Mm-hmm.
He was a part of an elite culture of entertainers. He was a part, I believe to be honest, and reading the so again, we're going to go through this the next time because it's so much, but the jury charges, the counts, when they break it down for the jury, I was looking at them, and the first thing they have when they talk about racketeering is the first number one on here. It talks about the RICO and the enterprise. It breaks all of that down. And what they say is that the defendant, he's either employed or associated with the enterprise directly or indirectly. It didn't say he is the head of the enterprise. It didn't. I mean, it obviously encompasses that, but it also says he could be employed or associated with also. And it made me think, employed, he's a part of a bigger thing. He's maybe not even the big fish they want. You understand? He could be a part of the ring and just be an associate of it, minding his business, doing fucked up things to girls and young girls, but not necessarily the head of this thing. And maybe they're, still working on chipping away to get to the big fish.
They let him be the fall guy because his ass got so raggedy.
Mm-hmm.
He got so raggedy with it. They took their hands off of him and let him fall.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. He's a big enough fish.
It would have been still going on if it wasn't
rattle
for the
cages
Savages and the Clarys.
Of course, if it wasn't. Yeah, shout out to the parents who Savages started it, because I remember Angelo saying he wasn't ready to make that type of noise because he moves differently. So Savage was really the one who got public with it and got everybody's attention. And then of course there's Lifetime, so which is where we left off the last time we were going over the crime line. We're going to have to continue this next week. I do appreciate y'all coming through on this Wednesday R. Kelly night. It's R. Kelly night to the trial and then some. We'll, because we're gonna have to recap it too once it's over. I'm so ready for this thing to be over. Trial, then there's gonna be sentencing. I'm pretty confident there will be a sentencing. Some people feel like he's gonna be let out, and Bill Cosby gave a lot of false confidence to a lot of his supporters.
Right.
But I just want to say, don't pop your champagne too early.
Right.
You might not be popping it at all.
Yeah.
So on that note, peace, and fish grease, y'all. I love y'all.
Good night, Goddess. I love you too. Good night, Miss Stella. Beautiful spirit. Good night. Good night,
Thanks,
warriors.
everybody.
Good night, warriors.
Bye-bye.
Warrior gang,
Peace,
gang.
everybody.